Today I get well and truly tortured. Hello and welcome to Rotted Review of the Day, and today is Torture Me Tuesday, where subscribers can make suggestions for films for me to watch and review, be they good films that they wanted to recommend and have a rotted review done of it, or really bad films that they wanted to actually torture me with. And today's movie falls into the latter category. Now, I will say that this is not, as it turns out, I just found out a few minutes ago, technically up for a rotted review, but I'm going to include it in. The criteria for a suggestion would be something that in IMDb, under the category meta tags, where it lists, what type of movie this is, usually it has, 1, 2, or 3 tags associated with it. As long as one of those is horror, then it would be subject to a rotted review, as well as if it's not part of a franchise. And I typically consider a franchise to be more than 3 movies. 3 movies is a trilogy, that's fine. But a franchise would be more than that. So we're talking Friday the 13th, Halloween, things like that. That would be covered under Franchise Friday and fall under that line. And I don't want to do those out of order. So moving on. The reason that this one is not technically considered to be a part of a rotted review is that horror was not apparently one of those 3 tags. This was action, adventure, and comedy. And today I am tackling Megapython versus Gatoroid, a sci-fi original made in 2011. And I'm still including it just because, well, first of all, there are no other suggestions. I really need your suggestions out there. If you want to watch a rotted review of a movie that you want to recommend or torture me with, please leave it in the comments below. I will be taking a look, finding a way to watch them, and make a rotted review of them. I will be adding them to a list that will be randomly drawn from every Tuesday. And I didn't have any other movies lined up, so it was this one or nothing, and I'd rather do a review than not. Plus it's also a giant killer monster movie. If IMDb allowed 4 tags, I'm pretty sure the 4th one would have been horror. It's not like I'm reviewing Bambi 2 here. So I think it generally loosely fits, but it's something I will be keeping an eye on in the future and being a little bit more strict with when I see a suggestion pop up and whether or not it will be subject to a rotted review. Now, moving on and moving over to Megapython versus Gatoroid. First of all, what I wanted to say was giant monster movies, even modern ones, are not inherently bad. I have a really strong soft spot in my heart for the original Japanese 1955 Godzilla film, and even the one that came to shores here in America. They got recut and American actors added in. And I love all of the, kaiju films and so forth that have, I noticed that they never really go away. They just kind of enter into different generational phases. And the concept of the sci-fi originals it's a unique category all unto its own. And, I have a soft spot in my heart for those as well. It's not that I don't like them. It's more that they're honest. If you think about it, they really are honest. They are not trying to be anything other than what they are, and that is cheaply made, poorly conceived, badly written, fun. They're trying to be fun through and through. They are basically trying to knock out big monster movies that are heaps of fun as cheaply and as quickly as they can make them. That level of honesty I have to appreciate, and that level of fun I have to admire. And Megapython vs. Gatoroid is really no exception to that. I do draw some lines, and I think it's when they become a little bit too self-aware, when they try to turn in on themselves and take those aspects of themselves that makes them popular and focus on those rather than focusing on simply the formula that has already worked. And yes, I am looking at the later Sharknado movies. That's a level of ridiculousness that is difficult for me to absorb. But Megapython vs. Gatoroid is the standard tried and true formula at its best. And what we have here is a movie that is not good by any count. I'm going to go ahead and throw the scores up here. Each category is worth up to 25 points for a total possible score of 100 points. And you'll see that nothing really worked on this one except for the intention. And this is why I had the intention category when I was thinking about how to review horror films, a genre that is largely not overlooked, but frowned upon by a lot of the critical communities. I wanted to have something in there that basically took, well, what are you going for? Even if it was, bad characters or bad CG or, if an older movie, you can see the string hanging the rubber bat, through the air. Were you going for a sense of playfulness? Were you going for a sense of fun? Were you going for a sense of cheap thrills? And appreciating that on the level that we horror fans typically do. And if it set out to achieve something and did, then I wanted to give that high marks, even if the rest of the quality of the film suffered. And I think that holds true for this film too. Having such a high intent score, 19 out of 25, I think is a testament to how much fun I found this movie to be. This follows Tiffany and Debbie Gibson as the two main lead actresses in this one, as two characters, one a Florida Everglades park ranger and the other one a rabid animal rights advocate that is, setting free lab experiment animals and so forth. They butt heads when their two passions butt heads in their environment. In very parallel qualities, you have Megapython versus Gatoroid, and you have Tiffany versus Debbie Gibson. From a plot line and from an acting standpoint, that's all this movie really deserves to be, talked about. Yeah, they butt heads, they set their animals free, they try to go at one another, and then ultimately team up and so on, while the monsters get bigger and bigger and bigger and fight each other more and more and more. And there's a million gators and there's a million pythons, and they're all huge and they're all invading Miami, and yeah. It's just a hoot is what this is. It really is. And if I'm going to be bringing up actresses or actors, and the one standout performance that I want to say here, yes, Tiffany and Debbie Gibson, they were fun to watch. But Catherine Justin as Angie Polk, I think, was actually the standout actress. And it took me a little while to place her because I saw her in this one, and she had a really dry wit that I really loved. It was adorable and worthy enough for me to mentally bookmark and want to mention. And then I recognized her as the woman from the first season of Scrubs that made me cry, and I loved her all the more in this one as a result. So high marks on that one, at least enough marks that it didn't get a 1 or a 2. Actually, I originally put this as a 2, and then I remembered Catherine Justin was in this one and raised it up to a 3. So you got another point there, Catherine. Thank you. Everything else about this was bad. The plot was bad. The technical was bad. Everything was really, really cheesy. The CG was laughably bad. But beyond the CG, even the differences between close-up shots and far-away shots and so forth, everything about this was made on a shoestring budget, if that. So, yeah, the scores are going to reflect that. So it always comes down to that big question towards the end of every review of, would I recommend this film? And I think the only way that I would is for the people that don't need me to recommend a film. If you know what a sci-fi original is and you enjoy them, then, by all means, Megapython versus Gatoroid is going to scratch that itch and do it well. This is the perfect formula followed to the T. If you don't know what a sci-fi original is, then buckle up for a really, really cheaply made, badly acted time. Whether or not you're going to find it fun is buyer's choice. That really depends on the person, and I can't speak to it. The only other acceptable thing that I can really recommend on this one is to do to your friends what subscriber Jenny attempted to do to me with Torture Me Tuesday, and put it on for them and watch them squirm and watch them laugh, because it really is a good time to watch this kind of thing with friends. Thank you, Jenny, for recommending this one, and Again, I am looking for recommendations, so if you are part of a horror lover community and want to put the feelers out there that if somebody wants to make a recommendation for a Torture Me Tuesday subscriber film for me to watch, please do so. I need them added to my list, and I need more recommendations from you out there for movies for me to watch. I can come up with movies for me to watch all day long. There are enough horror movies out there to keep me doing this for the rest of my life. But I wanted to involve the community in on this, and I would love the opportunity to do so. So please leave suggestions for films for me to review. So that should about do it. That is my review of 2011 sci-fi original Megapython vs. Gatoroid. I really thank you for joining me here today. If you like these videos, please click like and subscribe. And if you want to support me further, my Patreon link is below. Remember, next time you want to watch a horror movie, first make sure that it's good and rotted.